Hey folks, welcome back. Happy Friday to you. Today is September 20th, and that means that it is game preview day. We're going to take a look at the three biggest matchups of the weekend that not only have conference title implications, but could go a long way towards cementing a possible spot in the college football playoff. There really is not anything in the early window at noon that is super appetizing. So we're going to start with uh, one of the 3:30 slot games and go to Ann Arbor, where USC is coming in to play its first ever Big Ten game. USC has so far been one of the stories of college football with the way that its defense has improved under Anton Lynn, who was formerly at UCLA. And they were able to shut down LSU's running game pretty effectively. And LSU has a very solid offensive line. Michigan has had some questions there. They're also switching to Alex Orji under center, which means that they are definitely going to try to create that identity they had last year, which is a return to the physical ground-based style that brought them their national championship. Orji's physical, can get to the edge, and so USC's front seven is really going to have to get into the gaps and be on point with its tackling, and that's not always something it has done well under Lincoln Riley. So it'll be interesting, that battle right there. Michigan's offensive line is retooled. They don't have a whole lot of experience, and they have had a few holes so far early in the year. So if Lynn maybe might employ a little bit more of the five-man line that worked so well at UCLA, Bruins were a top 10 team against the run while he was in charge last year. So that is definitely something to watch. On the flip side, Michigan's defense certainly is still lethal, and they have difference makers at all levels. So Riley is going to need to get creative with his play calls and put Miller Moss in position to make some plays. Now, Moss to this point has been very good, and he's only been sacked twice. Part of that is because he gets the ball out really fast and allows his playmakers to operate in space and get some big gains. Now, outside of Will Johnson, Michigan's coverage has been nothing special. So don't be shocked to see a matchup of Zachariah Branch against Will Johnson. They're not going to line up opposite each other all the time, but it could happen on occasion. And that is a one-on-one matchup that is dynamic and could certainly bear watching. And the winner of that matchup probably helps his team win the game. With Orji on offense, Michigan definitely will be ground based. And if Colston Loveland can't go, he left last week's Arkansas State game with an injury. Then there's even more of an onus on the ground game. So Donovan Edwards and Khalil Mullings may have some room to operate because USC has allowed nearly 4.2 yards per carry. But again, the big plays have been few and far between on the ground. So if Michigan can't get done what it wants to on the ground, and that's really how it wants to operate, it could be a long day. USC offensively is going to play with tempo, and if Moss can stay clean and not turn the football over, this could be a tough day for the defending champs. But you know they're not going to go quietly. They have way too much pride, and they have a 25 straight Big Ten wins, and they've also not lost at home for the last three seasons. And so there's definitely that on the line. But there might just be too much limitation at quarterback for Michigan to keep up with a USC team that can light up the scoreboard. But don't be shocked if you hear Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant's names a lot, as those are two interior guys that have the ability to wreck any offense. Under Riley, USC is 6-4 in true road games, and they've won 6 of the last 7 meetings between these two, all of them in the Rose Bowl. Michigan's last win against the Trojans was in 1989, but Michigan has won 58 of the last 70 games played in the Big House. These are not going to be official picks that I make for these games, just how I'm going to lean. I think that USC's offense is going to be able to find some spots and make some big plays. And in the end, I think that Michigan's offense will be limited far too much by its quarterback play. So I think that USC is able to get it done on the road and come out 1-0, and Michigan has its second loss of the season to another top flight outfit. They already lost to Texas. Moving on now to Oklahoma State, Utah in Stillwater. This one will certainly shape the Big 12 race. And Oklahoma State is going to have to hope that Ollie Gordon can get going. He's amassed just 90 yards in 2 contests. Now, he will be a test for Utah's front seven, but they've only allowed 3.1 yards per tote through 3 contests, and they've been solid against the pass, which is good because Alan Bowman has been exceptional and thrown for almost 1,000 yards already, and he's got a huge stable of receiving weapons at his disposal. They've been able to make some big plays, and if they can get Gordon going, then they will truly be tougher to defense. The pass rush dynamic is one to watch. Utah is 10th in the country in sacks, while Oklahoma State has yet to allow a sack. Utah does have Van Fillinger coming off of the edge. He's been very good with some pressures, and he also is among the nation's leaders in tackles for loss. So he's definitely a guy Oklahoma State will have to keep tabs on. That matchup could be the deciding factor because if Bowman has time to operate, he could pick Utah's defense apart. Although that is easier said than done because Utah is one of the best teams in coverage in America. Now, Utah's supposed to get Cam Rising back on offense, but until we see it, we're not going to buy it. There's no guarantee he's going to make it through the game either, as he has been perpetually banged up. There is the potential for some big plays, but this one looks like it's going to be more of a phone booth battle, as both teams are going to want to control the clock and play a more deliberate tempo. If Utah can get Oklahoma State off the field, that is going to be big. And Utah is good at that, as they're fifth nationally in opponent third down conversions, allowing just 22%. Utah's ability to succeed in coverage is because it has a high rate of single high coverage, and that allows them to defend some short passes as well as stopping the run. Guys are typically in position, and they don't allow a lot of yards after the catch. So that is going to be big because, as I said before, Oklahoma State has some guys who can be explosive and get some yards after the catch. If Rising can go, he has a favorable matchup against Oklahoma State's coverage, which is currently uh, has the sixth worst Power 4 grade in coverage by Pro Football Focus, and they allow 7.6 yards per pass, which is 10th worst nationally. Utah is just 9-10 away from home since 2020, and Oklahoma State has won 5 straight Big 12 home openers and are an astounding 23-3 at Boone Pickens Stadium since 2020. So Utah definitely has its work cut out. This is the type of game that Utah finds a way to win. But again, I don't know how healthy Rising is going to be. And if he is limited, and if Utah can't get its ground game going, then I think Oklahoma State can find a way to hold serve at home and get a leg up in the Big 12 championship chase. Last but not least, we have Tennessee and Oklahoma. The Vols come into Norman looking to really solidify themselves as an SEC contender. They have been outstanding on offense so far, holding foes to 13 points and just having an electric offense. But this is going to be their first real test of the season, as Oklahoma State's defense is first nationally in turnovers and tied for 10th in sacks. Nico Iamaleava has not faced this kind of a pass rush. And so for the young freshman who has been very dazzling to this point, he's really going to have to be focused, and Josh Heupel is going to need to put him in position to make some plays. Tennessee is 6th in the country in gains of 20-plus yards. Also have some very good special teams units, which could give them a field advantage in terms of distance that they have to cover. The defense also has been good. They've not allowed an offensive touchdown for 16 straight quarters dating back to last year, and that's something that they haven't done since the 1960s. Tennessee scored 50 points in its first 3 games for the first time since 1913. So this is a team that historically could really put itself in the record books. Oklahoma has been, like I said, good on defense and has allowed just 5 plays of 20-plus yards. And they've been excellent at stopping special teams. So it's kind of a strength-on-strength matchup here. So it's going to be whoever flinches first. On offense, Deion Burks is one to watch for Oklahoma, and freshman runner Taylor Tatum could get a heavy workload, as Oklahoma's ground game has really had trouble getting going, and he has been an explosive type. He's quick. He can get through the hole. He can find some space to run. So if Tennessee lets him loose at the second level, it could be gone, and that could be where Oklahoma find some life. Defensively, R. Mason Thomas has 3 sacks and could be operating it as at an advantage because Vol star offensive tackle Lance Hurd may not be able to go, and that would be a big blow for the offensive line. Neither team has allowed a rushing touchdown yet, although you think that that's probably going to give in this game with the way that Oklahoma is going to want to get their ground game going and Tennessee wanting to lean on Dylan Sampson. He's been dynamic in the backfield, and he is someone that if the Sooners take too much notice of Iamaleava, he is going to carve them up because he's averaging nearly 8 yards per pop. Oklahoma is averaging just 2.2 yards per carry allowed for defenses. So Sampson is going to have to find ways to get free. And I do wonder, physically, Nico has all of the gifts in the world. He's big, he can run, he can extend plays. But Oklahoma is a different type of beast. They have players who are on Tennessee's level. And they are going to probably give him some looks that he's not seeing yet. And so if they can confuse him, young guys definitely could be at a disadvantage there. They have a real shot. If they can keep him inside the pocket and throw off his rhythm, it could certainly be closer than people are expecting. Oklahoma is 13-2 at home under Brent Venables, while the Vols are just 6-7 on the road against Heupel in true road games, and they've lost 5 of their last 7 roadies in the SEC. So while this looks to be a pretty big point spread, Tennessee's favored by over a touchdown on the road. They certainly have the horses to get it done. In the end, I think Oklahoma is going to have to force some turnovers. If they cannot operate with a short field and minimize what Jackson Arnold has to do on offense, then I think that they've got a chance. But if they allow Tennessee to make some big plays and if they get behind early, I don't know that Oklahoma's offense has the ability to really kind of get it done, just because I think that the offense has had some holes. The offensive line isn't up to par yet. And again, the ground game has not gotten going. So in the end, I think Tennessee does come out with a win. It might be a little bit closer than people think, but I do think Tennessee walks out of Memorial Stadium with a victory. That's going to do it for our game preview look. Big slate of games on Saturday. And we enjoy bringing this to you. If you like our content, hit the subscribe button and hit the notification so that you know when we have new stuff up. We will see you on Saturday, and let's all enjoy the games.